I really don't see why India as a country, with all its resources, all its laboratories, we can't make our own jet engine.
From guns to aerospace, Baba Kalyani puts his money and might behind the group's defense bet. The Kalyani group will set up 4 new plants across 3 different states and finalize plans to make an indigenous jet engine.
Indigo all set to fly into the Lal Street, likely to file the draft red herring prospectus by July this year. Sources say the airline plans to sell 25% stake and eyes an enterprise valuation of over $1.5 billion. That's an exclusive.
I see a reducing trend in the losses in the discoms.
Power deficit down to an all-time low of 3.6%. Record capacity addition. Successful coal auctions. The Power and Coal Minister Piyush Goyal gives himself top marks. Promises to push ahead with stalled power projects, improve the health of discoms and expedite the auction of coal linkages.
39 budget announcements implemented in 36 days, claims Railway Minister Suresh Prabhu in his one-year report card. Hopes to commission new lines for 500 kilometers, inks joint ventures with Odisha, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh to improve coal transportation.
The National Infra and Investment Trust is a step closer to reality. Finance Ministry floats a draft cabinet note, but sources say the corpus could be smaller than the promised 20,000 crore rupees and may in fact be between 5 to 10,000 crore rupees.
Setback for Infosys. The US court accepts petitions from 2 employees accusing the company of racial discrimination. Infosys refuses to comment on the ongoing court battle.
I never gave it so much thought or weightage.
Rahul Yadav, the CEO of Housing.com, opens up to CNBC TV 18 about his much talked about resignation, which he withdrew in 24 hours, says it was a calculated move. Also adds Housing will follow an aggressive inorganic strategy. That's a CNBC TV 18 exclusive.
A slugfest in the morning followed by a meeting in the evening. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh meets his successor at 7 RCR. The meeting comes after Modi and Singh traded charges through the day.
An unprecedented crisis at the World Football Governing Body FIFA. 9 top officials, including 2 vice presidents, arrested and face extradition to the US. Prosecutors accuse them of corruption in the award of the 2018 and 2022 World Cups.
This year the heat is suddenly has come up in May so much. We find it little difficult and unbearable.
While the searing heat wave continues to grip large parts of India, over 1,000 people have now lost their lives just in the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The monsoon cannot arrive sooner. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. Nantara, Delhi also sizzling hot.
The mercury refusing to budge from 45 degrees Celsius. Shireen, all I can say is absolutely unbearable.
It is unbearable at this point in time, and of course we are going to track the monsoon and the heat wave and the prospects of when the monsoon is going to hit India. We're jumping in a SkyMet in just a short while from now, but let's go straight to the day's trading action. Sharp losses at the open, then range bound, followed by a late recovery. That, in essence, is the action on the Lal Street today. Weak earnings continuing to play spoil sport as stocks remained on a tight leash. The Nifty recouping most of its losses, but the index still ended the day marginally in the red. The Sensex gained over 30 points, but the 28,000 mark is still distance away. Mid-caps managing to hold on to some marginal gains, but a flat close is how we saw things pan out on the Lal Street. From the equity markets to the currency markets, a quick check of where the rupee is. Persistent dollar demand from banks and importers have ensured that the rupee has a weak closing for the 3rd straight day. The currency closing at 64.01, down by about 5 paise against yesterday's close of 63.98. Well, the big CNBC TV 18 exclusive tonight. The past year has been one of the best periods that the defense production sector has seen in recent times. The Modi government has allowed a higher FDI limit and eased defense licensing procedures with the objective of Make in India. The Pune-based Kalyani group, led by Baba Kalyani, has decided to put its money and might behind its in-house weapons system with the hope of capturing a sizable chunk of future orders from the Indian Army. Rituparna Bhuyan visits the Kalyani Strategic Systems facility in Pune to find out more. This is Bharat 52, a 155mm artillery gun developed entirely in-house by Pune-based Kalyani Strategic Systems. The gun has a range of 40 kilometers and has 3,000 components, and every single one of these has been made in India. From the drawing board to the shop floor, it took just 2.5 years for this artillery gun to become a reality. But that's not it. The Kalyani Group has developed a light howitzer as well by modifying a 4-ton, 105mm gun to a leaner and meaner 900-kilo light howitzer.
This is a new technology called soft recoil. We have developed everything here with the help of an American company. And now it's going to go for firing trials. It's more a demonstrator.
While the field trial process may take time, Kalyani is moving ahead with refining the existing weapon system as he sees a huge opportunity for the group in the artillery business.
The armed forces require over 4,000 of these guns right now. That's the demand. The average price of the gun is roughly about 12 crores.
One single unit.
So that's 50,000 crores sitting there. Now, no one company is going to make 50,000 crores worth of guns. You know, you take an artillery gun, it'll be at least 30% lower cost than anything you import from anywhere.
Straight away.
Yeah. So there's nobody in the world that can beat India in defense equipment on cost.
It is a tall claim, but Kalyani is confident of delivering on it. While howitzers will continue to be a focus area, the company is now also planning to make jet engines.
On the aerospace side, we are looking more at components, and we are also looking at engines. You know, this is another bugbear in India, that we have not been able to produce our own jet engine after 60 years of independence. And I want to put my personal attention into seeing whether that would be possible.
While the jet engine is still a dream, Kalyani Group's joint ventures with Israeli companies like Rafael and Elbit, as well as Swedish defense major Saab, will soon be operationalized. 4 factories will be set up across Maharashtra, Gujarat and Telangana. The group has also set up a special cell to focus on the Make in India program.
I set up a Make in India cell to say, which out of these imports can we start making? Okay? And that to me is straight bottom line.
The success of companies like the Kalyani Group will also depend on more liberal defense procurement norms and faster clearances by the government. In New Delhi with Rituparna Bhuyan, this is Shireen Bhan.
That's Kalyani Group's big bet on defense. We'll get you the entire special over the weekend right here on CNBC TV 18. Now, this has been doing the rounds for quite some time. CNBC TV 18 exclusively learns the country's most successful airline, Indigo, has firmed up plans of filing a draft red herring prospectus for listing on the Lal Street by July of this year. We understand the airline is looking to offload around 20% stake via that IPO. Kritika Saxena now joining us with those exclusive details. Kritika, you reported last week how Go Air is planning to tap the primary markets. Indigo has been denying reports of late that it's looking at an IPO. What exactly are you picking up?
Well, yes, there have been many hits and misses as far as Indigo's IPO is concerned. It's been about 1.5 years of planning, multiple denials coming in from the management. But what we understand from our sources is that 5 investment bankers have been appointed to form out the contours, and they are likely to look at filing a DRHP by July 2015. My sources say, interestingly, that the valuation for the company is pegged at a whopping $1.5 to $1.6 billion. This will essentially be a 25% of an issue. So this will be part fresh issue in order to bring in liquidity into the company, and partly stake sale, which could be just 5 to 10% by the promoter holding companies Interglobe and KALYANI Investments. Now, why the high valuation and what's the rationale behind it? Bankers are pegging this to be the IPO for the largest airline in the sector in terms of market share. They also have been profitable over the last 5 years. In terms of debt figures as well, it has gradually been thinning out. In fact, the debt as of FY14 to FY15 has been significantly lesser than its peers. In terms of their fleet capacity, in terms of their operational performance, they have been ahead of their peers. And going ahead as well, the kind of domestic and international expansion plans that they have lined up, the kind of operational capacity that they have currently, is why the bankers are justifying their $1.6 billion valuation. In fact, when Etihad had taken in a minority stake in Jet Airways, that was pegged at $1.2 billion a few years ago. So they say, and a couple of my banking sources say, that $1.6 billion is in fact a fair valuation for this. Although when we did try to contact Indigo, they did not have a comment on this. So let's wait and watch out to see if Indigo IPO, at the risk of sounding corny, finally takes off, or it hits turbulence this time around as well.
Well, we've tried to pin Aditya Ghosh down on this issue over the past month and a half. Haven't really got much of an answer from him. Let's see what finally happens. Thanks, Kritika, for joining us. Now, it's been a trial by fire for Coal and Power Minister Piyush Goyal. In the past year, Goyal has successfully conducted India's first auction of coal blocks, averting a crisis. He's also pushed Coal India to ramp up production to a historic high and better the target of power generation. Anshu Sharma says, while the start has been strong, Goyal will have to walk the mile to achieve the government's target of 24/7 power for every home by 2019. Coal and Power Minister Piyush Goyal and his team have spent the past 12 months burning the midnight oil. With the Supreme Court order cancelling the coal block allocations going back almost 2 decades, Goyal was tasked with ensuring continuity of production to avert a coal and power crisis. The government pushed ahead with coal reforms via an ordinance, paving the way for the country's first coal block auction. In the first phase, 29 coal mines have been auctioned and 38 allotted to government companies, giving the government an opportunity to claw back the benefits to coal-bearing states. Proceeds from the auction at about 3.35 lakh crores have eclipsed the CAG's controversial 1.86 lakh crore loss estimate, but the payment will be made over 30 years and states will be the beneficiaries. The auctions have had a fair share of drama, forcing bidders like JSPL to move court against the government's decision to reject its bid. Auctions apart, Goyal has also pushed the big boy Coal India to ramp up production to 32 million tonnes. That is 8% higher than FY15 and the highest ever for the company. Coal India is now targeting 1 billion tonnes of coal production by FY20.
The production growth in the first 56 days of this year is 11.7%. Coal production by Coal India, a company which many people believed could never go beyond 1.5%, 2%. We've been able to add 22,100 circuit kilometers of transmission lines in the last 1 year. Along with all this, during the last 1 year, the power generation growth has been 8.4%.
While things have improved for both coal supply and generation, the distribution companies owned by states are still reeling under financial stress despite being put on a restructuring plan.
I'm happy to inform you that the various state governments now are becoming conscious of their duties. They are trying to bring down their losses. I see a reducing trend in the losses in the DISCOMs. Both Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, all are working to improve their DISCOM position. We will also give them hand-holding support.
The logjam on setting up new ultra-mega power projects also continues, with the recent setback being R Power walking out of the proposed Tilaiya project. The government is yet to release a redefined bid document for UMPPs.
5 or 7 UMPPs which are at different stages of development. The coal ministry is identifying coal blocks to be given to some more UMPPs.
Goyal has also helped alleviate some of the pain facing gas supply by bringing in reverse bidding for gas to kickstart stranded power plants. It's been a good start, but Goyal has his work cut out for him as he fulfills his promise of lighting up every home 24/7 by 2019. In New Delhi with Anshu Sharma, this is Shireen Bhan. Well, from Piyush Goyal to Suresh Prabhu, the Railway Minister says his ministry has implemented 39 announcements made in the railway budget in just 36 days. These include e-catering facilities in 134 trains, e-concierge facility at 22 railway stations, and new helpline numbers to address customer complaints. Pragya Bhardwaj and Surabhi Upadhyay say while some progress has been made to improve customer experience, Prabhu's main focus has been to woo investors and improve the railway network.
Suresh Prabhu's main mission is to end the cycle of underinvestment in the railways, and so his ministry has inked an MOU with the Life Insurance Corporation to provide 1.5 lakh crore rupees over the next 5 years. In addition to this, the ministry has signed an agreement with the World Bank for a loan of $1.1 billion for the second phase of the dedicated freight corridor's eastern wing. In a first, the ministry may also tap the financial markets, though the timing and quantum of raising funds is yet to be decided. To address the congestion issues, the Railway Ministry aims to commission 500 kilometers of new lines, 800 kilometers of gauge conversion, and doubling of 1,200 kilometers of lines in FY16. In fact, as per data available, 94,000 kilometers of doubling of lines on clogged routes has already been sanctioned. Prabhu has also come to the rescue of Power Minister Piyush Goyal. While much is being done to improve the efficiency of mining operations at Coal India sites, evacuation of coal from pit heads is key to ensure the availability of coal at required plant sites. To address this, the Railways has signed MOUs with the states of Odisha, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh to improve coal transportation. The Railway Minister expects the final report on the feasibility study by Japan for the bullet train project on the Mumbai-Ahmedabad corridor by June-July this year, even as China will undertake the feasibility study of introducing bullet trains on the New Delhi-Chennai corridor. The Railway Ministry is on track, but Prabhu will need to pick up the pace on implementing the promises on revitalizing railway infrastructure. In Mumbai with Pragya Bharadwaj, Surbhi Upadhyay.
That's the Railway Ministry's report card. National Investment and Infrastructure Fund is now a step closer to reality. The Finance Ministry has issued a draft cabinet proposal to set up the fund, but the initial corpus could be well below the budget estimate of 20,000 crore rupees. Sapna Dasa joining us with that story. Sapna, how much is the initial corpus likely to be and why a sharp cut?
Well, so to speak, it's not a sharp cut as of now. There is already a draft note that the Finance Ministry has circulated on this front. And once the Cabinet note is in, probably sometime next month, there will be detailed guidelines that we issued as to what will the mechanism of the fund, how is it going to be operationalized, and what are the other requirements that will go into it. It's a complex proposal that the Finance Minister has brought in this year's budget, but nevertheless important. So in terms of the initial corpus, as he had said in his budget speech, and I quote from there, I intend to establish a National Investment Infrastructure Fund and find monies to ensure an annual flow of 20,000 crores into it. So this is an annualized flow that he's talking about. Since the fund may take some time to be set up in the current financial year, hence the logic here, and that's what the government is indicating, is that initially 20,000 crores may not be possible and may not also be required. Plus, they have yet to also identify the projects for which such kind of money is going to be raised. Plus, there is no budget allocation for this. So, keeping all these practical aspects in mind, it may be possible that the initial corpus may not be more than 5 to 10,000 crores at best. And you may also not see it getting operationalized before sometime, say September, October, when half the financial year is over. So, you have to, these are really early days, and you have to wait and watch and see what happens. But even for this 5 to 10,000 crores, the government will have to seek the Parliament's nod, because it will be an additional outgo. In terms of what kind of interest this can attract, well, the government is already in conversation with sovereign wealth funds from abroad, also global pension funds, who may show some interest, but they're waiting for the detailed guidelines to be announced once the cabinet nod is over.
All right, I appreciate you joining us. The details still being worked out, and we understand the Minister of State of Finance has been tasked with that. But on to the big political story of the day. Prime Minister Modi had an unlikely visitor knocking on his doors today. It was the previous occupant of his home, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and this meeting on a day when both leaders trained their guns at each other. Manmohan Singh has ripped into the Modi government, saying they're just rebranding schemes launched by the UPA. He also went on to defend himself against charges made by former TRAI chief Pradeep Bejal. Singh said he never used his office for personal benefits. The Prime Minister Modi has hit back in an interview to PTI. He said extra constitutional authorities were wielding power during the UPA regime. He also said the Congress is unable to digest its crushing defeat. But then there was no sign of animosity when the two leaders met. Narendra Modi later tweeted that he was happy to meet Dr. Manmohan Singh and welcome him back to 7 RCR.
Meanwhile, President Pranab Mukherjee's interview to a Swedish daily has sparked a huge controversy, and the Indian government has objected to the manner in which the interview was presented. Remember, in that interview, Pranab Mukherjee called the Bofors scandal a media trial that could not be proven in court. The Swedish daily claims India asked it to retract the part about Bofors before airing the interview. But despite the row, President Pranab Mukherjee is going ahead with his visit to Sweden towards the end of this month.
While there is simply no respite from the searing heat wave that's sweeping across large parts of India, the death toll has now crossed 1,000 in just 2 states, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Another 67 lives have been lost in Orissa. Expect no relief at least for the next 48 hours, says the Met Department. Here's a report from across the country.
Large parts of India continue to reel under a severe heat wave. The worst hit are Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, where more than 1,100 people have died due to sunstroke.
What the Met Department says, the severe heat wave conditions will continue for another 2 days, and it has become very difficult for the people in this unbearable heat.
Hyderabad is always hot, but this year the heat suddenly has come up in May so much. We find it little difficult and unbearable.
In East, heat wave has claimed over 60 deaths in Orissa, with Titlagarh recording the highest temperature of 47.6 degrees.
In as many as 9 places, mostly in central and western Odisha, the temperature is well above 45 degrees Celsius. In Bhubaneswar and in several parts of coastal Odisha, the temperature has come down to 40 degrees Celsius due to cloudy weather.
Ahmedabad and other parts of Gujarat haven't been spared from the blistering heat.
Now, to beat the heat, the municipal corporation, along with other private organizations, have set up these things called rehydration points. Clean, pure drinking water is being provided at 1,000 such points across the city with the help of private organizations. Sir, कितने लोग इसका फायदा उठा रहे हैं?
बहुत लोग फायदा उठा रहे हैं इसका पानी का, ठंडा पानी का. सुबह से 3-4 बार पानी भरते हैं हम, और हमारा सेट का ऑर्डर है कि काम हो ना हो पहले इसमें पानी भरना.
Temperatures in Delhi have refused to climb down from 45 degrees. People of North India, and particularly Delhi, is suffering from this scorching heat. Temperatures are touching 45 and 46 degrees Celsius. Some respite expected for citizens, for residents of North India next to 2 to 3 days. But till then, how to beat the heat? Let's ask senior citizens. क्या ऐसे उपाय है, क्या तरीके हैं जिससे इस गर्मी से बचा जा सकता है?
देखिए, पहले तो सूती कपड़ा आपको सर पे लपेट कर, हम तो कैप लगाते हैं.
But respite might be in sight. The Met Department says easterly winds are likely to bring down the mercury.
Joining us now to take us through the conditions that we're seeing across India, the searing heat wave, and what we can expect from the monsoon is Skymet CEO Jatin Singh. Jatin, appreciate you joining us. Any relief expected? The Met says no expected relief over the next 48 hours at least. What's your forecast?
From the 30th to about 3rd, you have a series of thunderstorms hitting North India, Central India, East India, So I think the worst is almost over now, and it should get better in a couple of days.
So you're saying the worst is over, it should get better in a couple of days. But what about the monsoon?
Yes.
There were reports that seem to suggest, Jatin, that perhaps the monsoon or the onset of the monsoon could be delayed. Is the monsoon on track?
I think, in principle, maybe I think there will be a timely onset. The IMD has to declare it. I think it's going to be subjective, but the real monsoon is probably going to come about. I mean, you could have an official kind of onset around the 1st, 30th or 1st, but the real monsoon is about a week late. So I think the West Coast, as in the Kerala monsoon, is only going to start climbing around the 6th or 7th of June.
What are the forecasts now telling you as far as the possible impact of the El Nino, Jatin?
We're sticking to 102. I still don't think that for all the data that is available to us at this point of time, that is going to have a very adverse impact. Yes, the El Nino is strong. The region, region 3.4 on the eastern near South America has actually amplified to 2.6 degrees Celsius above the threshold. But I mean, all our statistics and all our models are still showing that 2015 should be a decent and normal monsoon.
So you're saying 2015 should be a normal monsoon, and you're sticking by your forecast of 91% of the long-range forecast?
102. 91 is below. So
sorry, 102. That's right.
Yeah, 102. See, a lot of scribes have made this sound like a political issue. You see, we have a set of calculations. And it is these sets of calculations that, in 2012 we were able to tell well before time a below normal monsoon. In 2013 we said it was going to be a normal monsoon. In 2014 first we said below normal and then drought, and we were right. And for all the work that we have done, I still don't find a reason for me to recalibrate my forecast. And we're looking at the data every day. If there is a change, if there's a possibility for change, we'll update it. But right now it's 102.
You talked about scribes setting this up as a battle between you and the Met Department, but we would imagine that you're looking at the same data points, right? And you're saying that you expect a normal monsoon. The Met Department is forecasting a subpar monsoon at this point in time, and hence the confusion.
Shireen, all scribes work out of Reuters wires. But it is computing, experience, and how you look at it and the essence of it, so yes, a lot of the data is similar, but we built our models maybe differently, and Maybe they have something that I don't, or maybe I have something that they don't. That only time will tell.
You know, I think most people would like to hear what you have to say, Jatin, because the Met is predicting subpar monsoon. You're saying that it is expected to be a normal monsoon this year, and that's what's required really to give a fillip to the agriculture sector, which is in distress at this point in time. You know, how do you see the agri story panning out if we do go as per your forecast?
I think, you know, if I'm right, then you're looking at a very good bumper yield, because you see, the year that follows a drought, which 2014 was, the soil chemistry actually recharges and the sown area actually increases. This year also you've got the added benefit of a pretty strong pre-monsoon. I mean, you know, everybody's complaining about the heat waves. The heat in India in the summer of 2015 came in very late, you know, almost basically the last week of May. So all these added, and if what I'm saying is going to happen, then you're looking at a very good bumper harvest. But if the monsoon fails, then this will be the third season of agricultural failure. Kharif 2014 was a drought. We all know what happened in Rabi 14-15. And if that is followed by another subpar, as in below normal, or a drought, then we are in very serious trouble. But I hope and I think my SkyMet scenario will play out.
Well, that's the SkyMet forecast. A normal monsoon and the heat wave should be over the next few days. On that note, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. We'll be back with more news and, of course, the trading action. Till then, good night. Thanks for watching.